Hi, Marta.
Hi.
We're gonna. I wanted to pick up where we left off in some of the discussion earlier, talking about the role of beauty and the arts in building community. And I wondered if you could share some of your reflections with that, based on our discussion earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I was surprised that nobody talked about what happened during this presidential campaign, and particularly with the Obama campaign, and that what we saw in that campaign was this just incredible kind of proliferation of creativity, and the ways in which people owned the campaign and reinterpreted the messages of the campaign. And then this also gets to technology, right, and media, and use those tools.
Pause tape. See who that is, Jay?
All right, I'll wait for you.
No, I'll do it. Who is it?
I got it. It's not bad. I'm okay.
Oh, damn. Maybe.
Are you ready for
Not yet.
We're taping one.
Let her know. We'll open the door when we're ready.
Oh, no. We'll come back. We'll come and get you. Oh, where you going?
I thought Sean wanted us to come.
Let her know I'm doing one right now.
One right now. But, where you going?
I'll be back in the dining room.
Okay. It'll be like 10 minutes. 10, 15 minutes.
Or yourself on my Bible?
Yes.
We're still recording. All right. Quiet on the set. 3, 2, 1.
You were talking about some of the innovation that you saw take place in this past election.
Right. So I think that what was really moving, and I think what was different about the Obama campaign, was the way in which the base and the grassroots supporters owned, not only owned but reinterpreted his messages, and how they used the tools of technology and Web 2.0 to generate new messages. So there were some interesting ones where, I think, for example, Shepard Fairey is a public artist who has become incredibly famous because he produced the iconic poster image of Barack Obama with the word hope underneath. And that, you've seen it, it says vote, or it says progress, victory. And the idea that, he's a public artist who is known for the Obey sticker campaign, Obey Andre the Giant, and the idea that art belongs to the public, and that public spaces should be used for art. But here he entered into politics with his art because of his firm belief in the candidacy of Barack Obama. And as they were gearing up for Super Tuesday in the primary campaign, he produced these posters, particularly for the battleground states. And it just was really, I think, amazing to see how that took off, to see the value of that art and how that art was valued. People got the posters for free, and they were told not to sell them, but people did, and they went on eBay, and you saw these posters being sold. But the just the power of that image, and then the ways in which then that image was then reinterpreted, right? It takes a life of its own. There were some really interesting examples of folks who were doing like video projections of that image on buildings. So the scale of the image went from a poster to the wall of a building, a city tall building, and sort of just going around in their car with a projector and casting these, up. And I think that sort of was really amazing to me, the ways in which, just that the base kind of reclaimed public space, reclaimed, these messages and these images. I think were very powerful. The numbers of songs that were created as anthem songs, or just to every genre or tradition, whether it was reggae or soca, or it was a Tejano song, or it's just very interesting how each cultural group appropriated his message and his image. and how that was put back out into the world. So I thought that that was a really interesting example. I don't know how that relates to policy, but I mean, I think that that's interesting that that kind of became a place in which sort of this was playing out in terms of a political campaign. So, you know, and I think that then it was sort of this idea of art and creativity was kind of associated with his candidacy and his campaign, and the hope will be that in his presidency that there will be space for that as well. But there was a value there about just the belief in the people, right? That ideas and messages can come from the bottom up, and the leveraging of new media and things like that. But that was just a sort of a thought that I had.
Oh, that's a great example. Somebody also in the discussion earlier mentioned the talk about creating a Secretary of the Arts.
Right, right. So Quincy Jones has been really moving that campaign, you know, and the fact that we are the one country in the world that doesn't have a minister of culture, and what does that mean? And you know, I think it would be really interesting to have that in the public discourse as, you know, a conversation about where culture fits into our society. So, you know, it's very interesting, I think.
I'd like to try to draw a little bridge between this part of our conversation and the portion of the discussion earlier that touched on technology.
Yeah.
And I guess the connection would be the innovation that you're talking about.
Sure.
From below and the role of technology.
So, I mean, I think that, you know, what was interesting is you have this Web 2.0 environment, right? It was just become very fluid. Folks are just creating and producing a lot in terms of content and art, and you know, whether it's video or, you know, it just, there's just so much coming out right now. And so I think of it as that is the equivalent of like a public commons, right? Is there's sort of this space where sort of new cultural forms are being produced, and yet a lot of what is being used to produce those, to create those, to distribute those, a lot of that is proprietary technology, right? So who really owns it, right? So who owns that, you know, slice of a song? Who owns that slice of a video? You know, who does it belong to? If I put my video up on YouTube, you know, who owns that? Who owns what I might put up on Facebook? And, you know, sort of the idea of, I think that those are just questions that we should have about, you know, who owns our art, you know, and who owns our culture. It's very, I think, something that we can't take for granted. The idea that there's more opportunities in terms of open source technology, well, who knows about that? And how is that becoming more accessible, so that as people become more and more creative in this way, that, you know, we're clear about the properties. And there's been a lot of work done around, for example, the Creative Commons license. And that, you know, actually saw that with the Obama campaign, and even during the transition, that a lot of things were licensed under Creative Commons, meaning that there is no one copyright and that it can be shared material. And so I think that it's just an interesting sort of issue that is coming up, and that, you know, it's not one to take lightly, I don't think, you know, that it's sort of, you know, we've seen what happened, for example, in hip-hop and sampling, right, and using music, and the way in which that has, you know, it really affected the production of a form of culture that, you know, really you couldn't do that, because if you couldn't legally account for every slice of a song or a beat that was, you know, in your song, then, you know, you couldn't really have it. So sort of, I think it's just things to be thinking about, and I think sometimes that artists are ahead of the sort of the curve on this in terms of the questions and the legality, and sort of